Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Harmonious World.
There are times to laugh and times to cry. Her words, they restore sight.
For this episode, I'm joined by guitarist and composer Aleksi Glick, who I have interviewed twice before, so I'm really looking forward to chatting with him about his album World Traveller, which is out now. And what you're listening to now is She Told Me, the opening track from Aleksi's album World Traveller. So I hope you enjoy listening to our conversation.
Thanks so much for having me again. It's great to see you.
Yeah, welcome back to Harmonious World for the third time.
Yeah, that's great.
Let's talk about World Traveller.
Yeah.
So when did you record this?
So I recorded it basically all throughout 2023. I think the recording started in the spring of 2023. It was a project. I knew that I wanted to record a trio album for a while, and through a friend that I done a lot of other work with, my friend Adam Ahuja, who's a great piano player. He does a lot of A&R for this label called Pinch, which is this sort of smaller jazz label in New York, but that is starting to do some pretty cool things, and they also record everything to tape, so they get this like really nice warm sound. And then he thought it could be a good fit, and then I met Scott, who runs the label and is also the engineer, we just thought it seemed like our visions were similar, so we decided to partner on this album together. And then I was kind of recording it all throughout last year, and then trying to think when all the masters, I believe all the masters were finally finished, like ready to go sort of like last December, I want to say. And you want to give at least like 3 or 4 months before singles and the album starts to come out. So that was the whole process. I also did quite a bit of it, like some of the stuff that I could also just record at home. I did that because I have a setup, but the vast majority of it was recorded at their studios. It was a nice process. I have Nathan Elman Bell and Jeff Koch with me as the primary trio. I've worked with both of them for years. They're both really close friends too. And they actually also both play in Snack Hat with me as well, but, are, great jazz musicians and play with, tons of different great people. And, we just enjoy playing with each other a lot. And then I guess Olivia Kendamo, who her stage name is Lorena when she's doing original music, great singer. And I just kind of, of all the singers that I played with, I just felt like her sensibilities were kind of best just for this specific album, and I thought she did a really great job on it. I guess I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, and Eric Trudell also helped to mix and master a few of the more poppy tracks. He's a guy that I do a lot of production music stuff with, and he's also a great sax player. He's the saxophonist on She Told Me, and I think I've mentioned everybody that was involved in the recording process, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, funnily enough, I chose She Told Me as the start to start this podcast with, because I really like that. It's a really good song. So where did that song come from?
Oh, it's funny. That song's actually about my mom. It's like, it's a song, touches on these themes of, unconditional love and like pushing through when times are hard, and also just appreciating my mom, I guess. And it's funny, so that song, most of these songs have been written in the last couple of years, and also have been written, while I've been, on the road, at some different location, hence the name World Traveller. She Told Me is actually the one Outcast. That song I wrote, I want to say almost 8 or 9 years ago. It was one that I kind of like shelved for a while. Like when I first wrote it, I played it a lot and I really enjoyed it. And then, I don't know, somehow it kind of like made its way out of the set list. I think I originally played it with Snack Hat, but it's a little bit it's a little bit more kind of cerebral than most sort of Snack Cat stuff. And, then I don't know, I think maybe just a few years ago, I just kind of revisited it and I was like, oh man, this is a really great song, or at least I like it. And, I started to just play it again and I found that, just like crowd reactions to that specific song were very strong. So decided to record it. And then I was actually originally going to have the single be We're Getting There, the first single. And then when I was talking to Amanda, she was like, you really should make She Told Me the first vocal single. And, I pretty much always listen to Amanda. So
Yeah.
that was that. And, yeah, I think it, really came out well.
Yeah. I think one piece of advice I'd give anyone in New York is always listen to Amanda. She definitely knows what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, there's so many times. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that this podcast wouldn't exist without Amanda because, I started it and I kind of vaguely thought I'd like to do a podcast, and on email was sort of chatting with her about, I was doing some radio stuff and then that was all dying down because of COVID, and what was I going to do? And she just went, well, do it. Here you go. This is how you should do it. And honestly, all the way through, because she keeps sort of sending me artists, like, sending me you again. And, she's got her finger on the pulse.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, she really does. Yeah, it's funny, and I've known her for such a long time. Like we went to college together back at the Peabody Conservatory like years ago, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, like whether for me it's been like, PR, life advice, getting over ex-girlfriends, one in college, like whatever it is, she's
Yeah. Yeah,
she's
no,
definitely
absolutely.
someone that I've listened to, and I feel like I've been the better for it for all these years.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I like the fact that this is under your name as opposed to sort of a Snack Chat album. A Snack Cat, sorry, not
Yeah.
yeah, Snack Cat album.
Yeah, you're not the first to make that mistake.
Yeah. So is this you coming sort of out and sort of, is this where you finding your voice, or is this just a part of your persona and your musical where you are?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, for better or for worse, I just love so many different kinds of music, which is even just represented on this album, even though I guess
Yeah.
it's primarily a jazz album. But, yes, there are a lot of elements of obviously like R&B, Americana, Brazilian music. But yeah, for me, it's just something I've really wanted to do for a long time. Uh, and I'd say like my two passions are both like in songwriting, you know, and kind of like, also just in sort of songwriting. I also kind of, equate with also, I guess, playing live shows of original music and that. And then also just, being the best guitar player I can be. Snack Hat is by no means, not going to be, it's still very much, going to be releasing music, coming up. We actually even had a show at Brooklyn Bowl last week, and that was, great, tons of fun. And there will be more stuff coming up with Snack Hat. But yeah, I have found that I've wanted to really have a project under my own name where I can really just do kind of, pardon my French, like whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's kind of nice and liberating just to, I feel like since really under my own name, it can just kind of be exactly where my heart's at musically at the time. And that is something that I do find special. And it's been really rewarding also just, like releasing this music into the world and, not really. I also do, as I think I've mentioned, also write for a lot of like labels and, do production music. And there it's like, I love doing that stuff, but you're, bound by these confinements of, you got to make, this track sound this way. And even in Snack Cat, where I love Snack Cat to death, and it's nothing in this world I enjoy more than a Snack Cat show. But, it's a funk and soul band. It is a band where, you want to make people dance. And, so this is kind of just sort of, just trying to be as authentically myself as possible, and just trying to stay true to my musical voice, whatever that is at the time.
Yeah, and I think there's two interesting things about that. The first is that it is what it is at the time, and it's always a kind of snapshot in time. And perhaps, if you went into the studio with these same songs and those same musicians now, a year later, it would be a different album because you're all in a
Totally.
different place, and I love that. That's one of the things I love about music. The other thing I think is um it's like the different genres and styles and all the rest of it of music. Um, Sometimes you're playing, sometimes like I, as a saxophone player, I'm reading what someone else has written. Sometimes I'm reading what someone else has written and an arrangement by another person, so it's kind of, several generations of what that music is supposed to sound like or someone wants it to sound like. And I love the fact that I can play that or I can interpret it depending on, how much freedom I'm given.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, this project, I just feel like it really kind of helps me express my musical voice again, and it's
absolutely.
in a snapshot of time. What wherever I am during that. I mean, I feel like a few years ago it might have been more straight ahead. Right now, maybe I feel like I would probably continue more down this sort of like exploring the relationship between like Americana and R&B and jazz, and I don't know, but it's always probably going to be evolving.
Yeah. At this point, I would like to play a bit of Leaving LA because I like that track.
Lights, they always shine brighter in the distance. I thought this crazy world would start to make some sense. Looked straight into the sun and got burned by its rays. And so now I'm about to board a plane, 'cause I'm leaving, leaving LA. Yes, I'm leaving, leaving LA. Yeah, I'm leaving LA. A dreamer taken by the city.
When did you write that? Did you write it when you were leaving LA or was it a memory or how did it come about?
Oh, so that track I wrote it on a rooftop in LA actually. I was just staying at this kind of bizarre little Airbnb. I forget what it's called. It's sort of right between Santa Monica and Pacific Palisades, but there's this kind of weird little no man's land there, and that's where my Airbnb was. And it had this rooftop that I just would go up every day and write. And at the time, I really do like LA more and more the more time I spend out there. But there are also there's a lot of loneliness in LA, and during that trip I just had been speaking to so many different people that, they all were actors, models, everything, but not none of them, but most of them weren't really doing anything. And it was kind of this, I don't know, I just was kind of feeling kind of sad, about it. And also I felt like I was almost maybe tapping into, the loneliness and, of, I don't know, just a lot of people in the city at the time. And so in my head, it's sort of, I made up this anecdote of, someone, going to LA to be a star, but just, it not working out and it seeming so close, but just, not being able to quite crack the code or whatever, and so
Yeah.
that's where that came about. That song is really trying to like put myself in the eyes of just quite a few people that I had was talking to during that specific trip,
Right.
Especially now that I do have a community in LA, and I do, I know a lot of people in LA that are really amazing at what they do and are not lonely by any means. I do like the city more and more these days, but that just, that specific trip, just, I don't know, just it kind of put me in that place, for whatever reason.
Yeah. And I think jazz musicians have always done that, haven't they? They've always kind of recorded the initial feeling about a place, wherever it is. I left my heart in San Francisco, or whatever it is, New York.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And it's not necessarily how you might feel another time in the same city, but I think that's great.
Yeah, it's almost like you let the environment help you write the song.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me what's next. What are you up to now? You said you're coming to London, which is very exciting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm really excited for that. I mean, it's funny because this album's only been out for, just over a month now. And I am going to be recording, actually there's already another single that I've, that's mostly recorded. Just need to add vocals that will be out this fall under my own name. And then for Snack Cat, there's also 2 singles that are in the works as well. I've also talked to Pinch about doing another album, so I think we're probably going to do another full-length album soon. But I need to, have hopefully actually on this trip to London, I'll also be going to Prague and Helsinki as well. I'll come up with
Wow.
a whole bunch of new songs as well, because that's kind of usually what happens. It's when I travel is always when I'm doing most of my writing, at least for my passion projects. I really I don't know, just something about being taken out of your natural state or element kind of helps just get the creative juices flowing. So I mean, I imagine I will start recording another full-length album sometime in the next 3 to 5 months.
Right.
But in the meantime, there also is a single that's almost finished under my own name that will be released this fall. And then Snack Cats, well, I guess that's a different conversation, but there are a couple singles in the works too.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, that's brilliant. Well, I look forward to hopefully catching up with you. By the time this goes out, we will have seen each other, hopefully.
Oh, great. That'd be awesome. I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, I think that'd be real fun.
Yeah, thanks so much, Hillary. Really appreciate you having me on and really always love talking to you.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, Aleksi. Thank you. I did actually get to meet Aleksi Glick, and I asked him the one question that I'm going to be asking all of my guests from now on. So I'm here in Cambridge with Aleksi Glick, guitarist. Thank you for joining me, Aleksi.
Thanks so much for having me, and great to see you as always.
Yeah.
This time in person, not on Zoom.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this one question that I want to ask you is, what piece of advice or learning would you share to make the world a little more harmonious?
It's a great question. So for me, just as someone that loves so many different kinds of music and also writes from a lot of new experience and traveling, and I think just being open to new things and not judging things too early and really thinking about new things, seeing new places, meeting new people, being open to new cultures, and obviously for me, being open to new kinds of music is something that could make the world a little bit more harmonious.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Of course, absolutely. Thank you.
Too many years and too much struggle, but through all the pain, creation's glued.
So what you're listening to now is We're Getting There, from Aleksi Glick's album World Traveller. Thank you for listening to this episode of Harmonious World.
So many mistakes. I used to dive head first, now I look straight. We've put in the hours, now we're banging at the gate. We're getting there. You wonder as a child, wild and bright-eyed, how time We'd like to thank those who've helped guide the way. When things were tough, you said keep the faith. It takes a village, each house needs
Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Harmonious World. My name is Hilary Seabrook, and it's a great delight to bring this series of discussions with musicians and composers and writers and all sorts of people to you. Obviously, there's no point in having a podcast if people aren't listening, and I'm very grateful to my listeners for doing so. Thanks also to Joe English for composing and performing this new theme tune. So wherever you get your podcast, you can leave a review. You can share this with your friends and family, either as a link or on social media and that sort of thing. I'd be really grateful for that. Don't forget that you can subscribe now. There's a link wherever you get your podcasts. So have a great week, and please remember why I started this, which is just to try and make the world a little more harmonious. Thanks for listening to Harmonious World.